Well, good morning, everyone. So nice to see you all on this lovely rainy morning. At least it was nice last night for the Boy Scout crab feed. Was anybody at the crab feed last night? Yeah, that was an awesome event. I know Kathy's so close on that last man standing here. And I was like, where? Okay. It was a really wonderful event, especially poignant for me because I am a Boy Scout Troop 50 Eagle Scout here. So if you look in the hallway, down all the pictures of all the Eagle Scouts, you'll see my face up there. It's really neat. So it's just really wonderful to see the program still running so strong here at the temple, and to see so many wonderful supporters. Even I see Roy Murray, he was my scoutmaster, and Wayne Perhard, Gary, so they're all these people are still here and still very active at the temple. So it's wonderful to see so much wonderful support and activity for this amazing program. So we enjoyed that crab very much last night. It's really good. So, a few months ago, this was last year in November and December, I got some sad news that the minister over at the South Alameda County Buddhist Temple fell ill, and she was no longer able to continue serving as the minister there. And it was a really tough blow to all of us in the BCA, because as you know, ministers are very hard to come by. So anytime we lose a minister, it's a big loss to us as a whole. But fortunately, South Alameda County Buddhist Church, we call it SACBC. Have you guys heard that before? SACBC. So when you see SACBC, it looks like SACBC. So everybody thinks it's Sacramento, but it is in fact South Alameda County Buddhist Church. Okay. So fortunately, SACBC is only about 5 minutes away from Janet's folks' house, Janet's parents' house. So we have a place to stay, so it's nice. We can go visit the Bay Area and go up on Saturday, hang out with Janet's parents and see Grandma and Grandpa, and spend the night and then go speak at the temple the next morning, which is only 5 minutes away from their house. So it's always a very nice visit there. So on my last visit, I just wanted to share with you a couple of things that I shared when I went to go speak at SACBC. Kind of in the spirit of the internet, everything you see on the internet has to be true, right? It's on the internet, right? So what I did was I made a few, I made up a few, but some of them are real. Some of them are real, some of them I made up. So we're going to look at these together and we're going to determine which is which, okay? So, only in one's mind can one truly be free. It was always thus, and always thus will be. What do you guys think? Real or not real? Real.
Real.
Okay, not real. I'm going to give you a little hint before we begin. In English, this kind of rhymes, right? So if it came from Pali or Sanskrit and got translated, it probably wouldn't rhyme anymore, right? Right? That's a hint. So who knows what this is from? Anybody recognize it? If you get this, this is the 10-point bonus question. This was taken from a movie. It was taken from a movie. This was said by Robin Williams in the Dead Poets Society. Do you remember there's a scene at dinner and then only in one's mind can one truly be free. It was always thus and always thus will be. And the other teacher went, Keating? And he went, no. And he said his character's name. Okay. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Real? Not real. Real. Yes. So that one's actually a really good one, right? Because it deals with a very interesting thing that we all do. We all do this, right? Sometimes you hold on to your anger so much when you're angry at somebody else, right? And you end up hurting yourself. You're so mad, you're like, and you end up hurting yourself. And nothing even happens to that other person, right? So we have to learn to let go. You like these memes, right? It makes it all way more legit, right? When there's a Buddha behind it, right? Compassion lights the candle of happiness. Selfishness is the veil of darkness. Real. Not real. Who said real? Yeah, wrong. No. But I appreciate that because that means I can start probably writing some of these quotes. Right? I was particularly proud of this one. I thought this was pretty good, right? We should all just start making this real, I say, right? Don't you think? Once I post it, it will be real because that's how the internet works, okay? You only lose what you cling to. Real. Not real. Real. The quotes don't all have to be long and convoluted, right? Sometimes the Buddha said things that were just short to the point. I like that one. You only lose what you cling to. Ignorance is not man's primary enemy, but certainty in a false truth is. Real. Not real. Not real. You guys are getting used to my writing now, huh? You're figuring it out. Yeah, you're on to me. This was inspired by a quote that was actually misquoted, I believe, from Mark Twain. Because I don't believe, they credit Mark Twain with this quote. It's the one where it says, it ain't what you know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't true. Have you heard that one before? It's credited to Mark Twain, but then I researched it and they said I don't think he ever said it or wrote it. But anyway, if I put it on the internet, it will be true. So, okay? Everybody read this one together. When you blame, you be lame. Okay, so we won't ask if that's real or not. Okay? So, that was it. This is a favorite one of SACBC, so much so that when I delivered this in November, I returned in December for their Bodhi Day service. They actually made me a t-shirt. They made me, I should have wore it today, but anyway, that's the last one. So that was some fun things I just wanted to share with you. And as usual, it has nothing to do with my talk this morning. So there was no creative segue into the talk. So, but today, what inspired me today is I wanted to share with you a teaching, a very important teaching that I learned many, many years ago. And I saw Jeff Inanaga in here, right? Where's Jeff? Good, excellent. So this teaching was actually inspired back in those days. And the reason I asked for you, Jeff, is because I could be telling this story completely wrong, so I need your help to correct my history. But wasn't it many, many years ago we were chairing, was it the Dharma School Teachers Conference that you were in charge of for the workshops?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. I'm telling the story correctly. This was many, many years ago. And it was you and Thomas, is that correct? Excellent. I remembered it correctly. Okay. So our wonderful Jeff Inanaga and Thomas Okamoto were the co-chairs, and they helped us develop the workshops for the Federation Dharma School Teachers Conference that was being hosted at the Sacramento Temple that year. And it was wonderful. We planned for this thing months and months and months in advance. So much so that before every planning session, this was back when Dimban Yukawa was still serving here. When Dimban Yukawa, this was Dimban Yukawa's second term here when he returned. So, for those of you, who knows Dimban Yukawa, Reverend Yukawa? Yeah, oh yeah, all of you guys know. Okay, excellent. So, before we did every workshop training session that Jeff and Thomas would lead, Rinban Yukawa would always come and share like a little 15-minute Dharma talk with all of the workshop chairs to inspire us, to get us in the right frame of mind, to share the Dharma and to teach the Dharma. And Yukawa Sensei would always walk up, and even just walking in the room, he carries this air about him, doesn't he? He has this wonderful sense, just wonderful presence. Calming, soothing, just knowledgeable presence. And he would walk up, and I remembered this one day. And again, I don't remember exactly how he worded it, but before one of our training sessions, he walked around and he said, who is responsible for your happiness? Who is responsible for your happiness? Is it determined through your own power or through other power? Okay? Is your happiness determined through your own power or through other power? And me, this was many, many years ago, so I was like, and I was thinking in my head, my own power, right? I am the master of my own decision, and I'm responsible for my choices. Therefore, I shape the outcome of my life, right? I said, raise my hand. He said, yes. And I said, my power. He said, no. So So actually, that made me very, very intrigued and interested. And this is when Yukawa Sensei, and this is the first time I heard this teaching, but he started teaching us about tariki and jiriki. Has anyone ever heard this before? Have anyone ever heard these two words before? Tariki and jiriki. Loosely translated, tariki means other power, jiriki means self-power. Okay, self-power. And this is a very important teaching. In essence, what it means that in Jodo Shinshu, we try not to focus on self-power as the path to seeking enlightenment. Enlightenment's a big word. Let's call it seeking understanding or seeking a life of less suffering. We in Jodo Shinshu do not emphasize the efforts of the self-power. We tend to emphasize the efforts of other power. This sounds a bit spiritual, but it's not. We're not saying other power as in, it's not other power like that. But simply it is a power other than yourself. And in many cases, in Jodo Shinshu, we would say other power is the Amida Buddha, which is a symbol of infinite wisdom and immeasurable compassion. So, there's a book that we did. We had a book club, and it's called Ocean. You may have seen it in the front little cabinet out there. It's called Ocean. And in one of the passages, in one of the opening passages, it talks about a sailor falling off the ship in the middle of the ocean. And the ship didn't know that the sailor fell off, and it continued to drift away. And in the beginning, the sailor panicked, and he started, flailing his arms and legs, and and he realized that within a short few minutes, clearly he would become exhausted, and he would eventually drown. So in that realization, being the trained, experienced sailor that he was, he realized that he had to stop using only his own efforts to save himself, but he had to release himself into the power of the ocean. And once he became calm and spread his legs and arms out and arched his back and looked up into the stars, he was able to float and be carried by the power of the ocean, the other power. And then he was able to get his bearings and look at the stars and navigate his position and realize he remembered where land was. And eventually he was able to float back to land, to safety. That is the example that is used in that book, Ocean. So it's a little bit of an advanced topic, but a very interesting and fundamentally important one nonetheless. So this leads me to my own personal ocean experience. Every year we take the Ellie's Girl Scout troop camping. And it's a really fun time. We go camping, and this most recent trip last year in June, I believe it was, July. We went to Sugar Pine, which is right by Tahoe, right? So we set up our camp, we're having a great time, and then about 2 nights into it, I woke up early in the morning. It was like 5 a.m., 5:15 a.m. I had to go to the restroom, right? And I woke up, and I'm like, because you're tired, it's high altitude, and you walk up. And I looked, and I was like, ooh. And I saw something very, very incredible. It was a sight that I'm not used to seeing. And so I had to videotape it. So instead of telling you, I'm just going to show you. Oh, man. You gotta play. No audio necessary, right? All right, so I forwarded this video to Stuart about a week ago and asked him to put it up on the monitor. And then Stuart said, do you want me to play the whole thing even when that guy runs away? And I'm all, that guy? There was no that guy. This is not a YouTube video. This is this guy. Okay. So bear in mind, I don't know if you remember at the end, that little blue tent right there? That's where all them girls are sleeping. Okay? So, you saw the progression of that clip. We'll watch it again, don't worry. It's worth another watch. The progression of the clip went like this. Wake up. Oh my goodness. that's something that I've never seen in my life. You know, we go camping a lot, and I've never seen one. They warn you very, very, diligently about bears. So I knew in that moment when he was right there, I knew that my campsite was clean, because we're very strict about that. We really adhere to the rules. Our stuff is all put away. I know there's nothing out, so I'm relatively okay. Having said that, as I looked over at the bear, I realized, wow, my girls are right there. I ain't gonna go hide in the car, you know what I mean? So that option is out, right? And then all of a sudden, I went from kind of amazement and shock to fear. And that's when the camera went down, and I said, because you saw it, that was pretty close, right? That's pretty close. And there's nothing in between us, right? So, and then I went to real fear of what's gonna happen. What if this thing, because he walked this way, he was walking towards us. What if this bear decides to keep walking this way? What am I gonna do? They tell you to act big. So, and they tell you to make noise, right? So those two options were kind of not working for me, And then I thought if I started doing this, he might come towards me like I'm a prey or something, you know what I mean? So I legitimately started to worry, and that's when the camera went down, because I said, I gotta at least get a tree between me or something, so I can be like, ooh, try to catch me on the tree. That's all I could come up with, guys. There was panic. There was actual panic starting to ensue. And this is like, all jokes aside, this is no joke. There came a moment that I realized, and it just hit me like a flash, and I realized, this moment, this situation, is no longer in my hands. This situation no longer has anything to do with what I decide is going to happen, because it's up to this bear. This is no longer my power. This is other power. And it may not be the best example of that, but it's something that impacted me. So when I came to this realization that all I can do is respond to what happens. All I can do is be present in this moment, because I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to leave my kids, right? And I decided not to do this. So basically, I took myself out of the equation. It is no longer up to me, up to my decision. And I says, it's up to this bear. And after I realized that, I said, I'm no longer a factor in it, and I kind of said, whatever happens, happens. And then that's when I kind of stood back, and I watched, and in that moment, what happened at the end? Turned away, So, let's see if I can play this game. Oh my gosh, there's a bear. It's 5:50. Oh crikey, it's a big bear. He's in his natural habitat. It's a good thing we cleaned our campsite. Oh my gosh, the girls are sleeping in that tent right there. Better get behind this tree. Oh, thank goodness he walked away. And then, just like that, he walked away. I guess, well, yeah, that's enough. Okay. And I guess I'm standing here today because the story could have went differently. I mean, it could have went differently, but, so for me, this is something that I knew I wanted to share with everybody here when I had a chance, because this is the closest, most personal example in my life that I had to truly understanding what other power meant. So anyway, I thought that was it. So I hope that kind of articulates that for you. There are so many things in our lives that we think we control, right? So many things in our lives. But in reality, we actually control very little. But we worry about it nonetheless. We worry about so many things. We worry about our jobs. We worry about our children. We worry about our homes, our stuff, our friends, our health. We worry about so many things. And we invest so much of our time planning and anticipating and trying to map out every possibility. But sometimes in life, no matter how well you live and how well you plan, life's going to present you with a bear, right? No matter what you do. And it makes you humble to realize in this great world how powerless we actually truly are as individuals. So I hope you can remember this feeling and let it alleviate some of the pressure in our daily lives, because we're so pressured to do well and be responsible. I'm not saying don't be responsible, okay? You can't say, I'm not doing homework, Dad, because other power's going to do it, okay? Look up, no, okay? No, okay? But what I am saying is, let's take a little bit of the pressure off of ourselves, huh? A little bit of the worry, because we realize that it's not all up to us. And we have to rely on others, and we have to rely on infinite wisdom and immeasurable compassion. Please join me in Gasho. How is happiness attained in our human lives? Through our own power or through another power? Nothing we do is ever truly on our own, so we must always be grateful for all that we have and all that we experience, for it is all achieved through the countless causes and conditions by so many others. Namo Amidos. Namo Amidos. Namo Amidos. Namo Amidos.